Sales must die. Sales has died a long time ago. It just takes a while for people to realize it. But now we're realizing it. Conversion rates are going down. People don't want to talk to us as a salesperson. They want the information directly from the internet. And they want to watch videos and then collect the information and buy themselves. So what are we here to do then if we are salespeople? I had to bring on Lee Salz because he is the guy who wrote, this is his 7th book, First Meeting Differentiator, which really covers how you should do the first meeting. So you're having your first meeting with a potential buyer, what not to do and what to do instead. This book is a very practical, tactical. I'm 22 years in sales coaching and I have made notes. Mostly I was just nodding, oh my God, yes, 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 yes. And sometimes I was like, oh, he's right. So welcome, Lee B. Salz, to the show.
Thank you, Simon. Nice to be here.
So we are in the first call.
Yeah.
What are the things we should not do?
Let's talk first about the mindset. The common expression we use to describe that first meeting is a discovery meeting. Discovery meeting. And my perspective is traditional discovery meetings need to die. They need to go away. Well, our listeners are probably saying, well, what's wrong with a discovery meeting? Let's think about how most salespeople prepare for that interaction. Let me make a list of questions I'm going to ask and the message points I'm going to convey.
The
Okay, what's wrong
presentation
with
I'm going to
that?
share. Yeah.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? Here's the big question. If you think that's a great approach, what does the person you're meeting with get out of that meeting? And when I ask salespeople that question, and business owners that question, it's usually greeted by a deafening silence because they've never thought about that first meeting from that perspective. But if you think about what you're asking someone to do, got 400 things to do, 400 tasks on my desk, and you're saying, put all those aside and meet with me. So then, after a few moments, the salesperson, that business owner will say, well, you know what they'll get out of that meeting? They'll learn about our company and what we have to offer. That's a big no. And now you're probably scratching your head and saying, well, why wouldn't that be meaningful value to them? Well, there's two types of sales, and I'm going to explain the difference between the two using a bathroom environment. You ready, Simon?
I'm ready. You got my attention.
Okay. You buy toilet paper, I sell toilet paper. But you're buying my competitor's toilet paper, and I'm saying you should be buying my toilet paper because it's superior. So that's a takeaway sale. That's the environment most salespeople are in. The other sale type, you buy toilet paper, I sell bidets. It's an alternative way of addressing an issue. So I mentioned that most salespeople are in this takeaway setting, which means they already have a provider. They have someone that they're working with. And so when you say the meaningful value they're going to get out of that time we spend together is learning about our stuff, they're not going to perceive that as meaningful value because, again, they already have a provider. So what else you got? That becomes the question. And then they're stumped. And I said, that's the problem when we look at that first meeting as a discovery. It's all for us. But if we borrow from the medical community, Simon, if you think about the times when you've gone to the doctor, you go for two reasons: to become wiser about your circumstances and to understand potential remedies. You sure wouldn't go to the doctor if you thought that experience was going to be them gathering all this data, all this information about you, nothing for them, right? You wouldn't go to the doctor for that. But that's what discovery is. This is what we're doing. So we have conditioned people to believe, and rightfully so, the only time to meet with a salesperson is when you're ready to buy something, because you're not going to get anything of value out of that interaction. Now, in the medical community, they don't call that a discovery. They refer to it as a consultation. And of course, I didn't create that expression, but I've embraced it. And that's what the book is all about, is how to take that first meeting and not have it as a discovery, but rather a consultation. So if learning about your stuff is not meaningful value, what is? If you want them to spend time with you, they need to learn something that's going to help them in their role, help their company, or best of all, help both entities, the individual and the company. That's your best case scenario. They learn something during that time together. Simon, I'm going to guess your audience likes free things. I mean, who doesn't? If you go to meaningfulvalue.com, you can download my 10 tips for providing meaningful value during first meetings. Now, here's the cool part. Once you identify the meaningful value they'll get out of that first meeting, you then fold that into your prospecting messaging. So, Simon, when we get together, I'm going to share with you a best practice that manufacturing CFOs are using to creatively reduce costs. Oh, I'm going to get something out of that meeting with Lee. I'll take that meeting.
That's very different than, hey, give me 15 minutes of your time.
Mm-hmm.
I have something for you. Do you want it?
That's right. Something that's going to help you personally, help you in your business, or both.
I have seen salespeople ask questions that they can easily research before, and I think it's
Mm-hmm.
offending. Meanwhile, maybe it was
Absolutely.
okay 10 years ago, but I think it's really offending. You're not honoring the time of the other side, especially in B2B when you have busy people on the other side. Whatever you can research, guys, research it.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the website that you just mentioned, improve the questions that you have so that they really create value, and they raise the energy in the room. You said wisdom. Yes, that's what we're looking for, right? To be
Mm-hmm.
sharper, to know more, to see more about ourselves, our surroundings, our clients. And
Mm-hmm.
if we leave that conversation in that way, I want to have a next conversation with you.
The overarching objective of a first meeting is to pique a high enough level of interest that they want to continue interacting with you afterwards.
You have a passage here in the book where you
Mm-hmm.
compare it to kind of a Netflix series where you design the interaction to have a cliffhanger, to have something that says, "Oh my God, I want the next conversation." Can you expand on that?
Yes. So we're up against a few things during first meetings from a memory perspective. Are you familiar with the name Herman Ebbinghaus? Okay. He was a researcher in the late 1800s and he conducted a memory study. And what he found was people forget 50% of what they learned within 24 hours and remember less than 10% a week later.
Oh yeah, and it got
Okay.
worse since
So,
then.
right. So let's do the math. You have a 1 hour first meeting. A week later, they remember about 6 minutes of it. And the mistake that we make is we try to do too much in that first meeting. Let's get the slide deck out. Let's get the demo out and and so we don't do anything well. And then the question that you have to then answer is, why should they keep meeting with you afterwards? You told them everything, you showed them everything. I brought the CEO into the meeting. I brought the integration team into the meeting. I got the IT person. You brought everybody to the first meeting. And so you told them everything, you showed them everything. How do you get the next meeting? And the answer is you need to slow down the process. That first meeting needs to serve a key purpose, which is it's the foundation of your deal. If that first meeting is weak, guess what? So is your deal. So I find salespeople looking for these techniques when they're not happy with their win rate. So they go to the deal finish line and they say, boy, I need these techniques, these magical words that make the checkbook pop open. Well, it's 2025. That isn't going to happen. Those don't exist. If you're not happy with your win rate, I encourage you to go back to the construct of your first meeting because that's your deal foundation. Think about everything that's going on in that first meeting. You're acquiring information, sharing information, engaging emotions, differentiating yourself in a meaningful way, and of course, providing meaningful value. So much is going on there. So if you tell them everything, they'll think they heard everything. And then they remember 6 minutes of that meeting a week later. So how do you go back to them and say, I know you saw the demo already, but we should probably do that again? Very awkward. So we try to cram too much into that first meeting, the entire deal suffers. So if you come back to that overarching theme to pique a high enough level of interest that they want to keep interacting with you afterwards, you start saying, the demo is the next meeting. Introducing an executive, that's the next meeting. Bringing in that integration person, that IT person, that's the next interaction. So there's reasons to keep talking. And by tempering it that way, you increase the retention. And of course, that's super important when we're talking about differentiating ourselves in a meaningful way.
Oh, I love that. So, how can we chop it up? Is there a specific structure that you recommend, or a few structures that have worked well?
Yes, there's a chapter in my book where I reverse engineer at first meeting. So often, again, this is the issue with discovery. How do we plan for discovery? Make a list of questions and message points. Well, there's an infinite number of questions you can ask, and only so many someone's going to tolerate. You can talk about your company and what you offer for 16 hours, but there's no one that's giving you a 16-hour meeting. I don't think you'd want one anyway. So if we reverse engineer that meeting by asking ourselves this question, it was a great first meeting if we accomplished what? Let's define what success is. So, for example, what information do we need to acquire during the first meeting? Because there are a lot of questions I find when I push salespeople on this. They say, yeah, I need this information in the first meeting, though. I can get this later. So when you reverse engineer it, you define what success is. Then you come back after you've determined the outcomes that you need to achieve. What questions are you going to ask? Only the questions tied to the outcomes you've identified. What information are you going to share? Only the information tied to the outcomes that you've identified. So now that first meeting becomes like a project plan.
I love this. I love this. And when did you start writing the book?
3 years ago.
And
But
how
the
did the process
methodology in there I've been using, gosh, over 20 years.
how did the process of writing change you?
Changed me. I don't know if it necessarily changed me, but what happens is there's two parts of your brain. There's a brain that deals with the creative side when you're writing, and then there's the other side of your brain that you use for editing. And the mistake that I find a lot of novice writers make is they try to do both at the same time. And that's why so many books get started and never get to the finish line.
Mm.
So you got to let that creative side just come out. And you don't worry about commas or spelling or grammar, the organization information. You don't worry about that. Just get it all out. Get it all out. And then after you've done that, you go back and edit. There's so many writers I find that get frustrated because they try to do both at the same time and they get stuck on chapter one.
So just start writing and then editing will come later.
Yes.
One chapter is called The Art of Asking the Right Questions. What are some powerful questions that you can share?
So, yeah, let's talk a lot about questions. There's a couple of things that I noticed that salespeople do during first meetings. They'll ask a question like, Simon, what's the biggest challenge you have in your business today? And again, our audience is probably saying, that's a good question. What's wrong with that? Well, that's a fact-based question, meaning you ask that question, they're going to give you information back. I don't just want information back. I want information with color, flavor, texture. In other words, I want to know how they feel about the information they're sharing. One of the oldest expressions in sales, one of the most accepted concepts, is that people buy based on emotion, justify their decisions with logic. Every salesperson on the planet has heard that. Every business owner has heard that. Now find someone that actually does it. And a great example is with the questions that you're asking. So rather than asking a question like, what's the biggest challenge you face in your business today? What if I asked it this way? Simon, what's that one thing in your business, that one thing they're like, ugh, pulling your hair out? We got to figure that out. What is that? Did you feel that question, Simon?
Oh, yeah.
And we're just in a podcast interview. So you can imagine when you ask emotive questions, how much that is game changing when you're in the field. So the question you have to ask yourself is, do I want information or do I need to know how they feel about the information they're sharing? So my counsel to salespeople is to look at every question that you're asking during first meetings and identify the ones for which there's a necessity and an opportunity to turn that into an emotive question so that you're not just getting information back, you're getting color, flavor, texture. Like I said, how they feel about what they're sharing with you.
What do you look for in body language, especially over Zoom?
A lot of things. Are they taking notes? That tells me that they're interested. Are they looking at me or are they looking around the room? I mean, you can tell if there's genuine interest there. Sometimes you can see this on Zoom. It's a little harder, but you can definitely see this in person. When you say something, they look away or they back away from the desk a little bit. And what too many salespeople do when that change occurs is they ignore it. I notice you're thinking, what did I say that made you think? Acknowledge the change. And they'll appreciate, oh, okay, so he's paying attention. He noticed that I backed away, or he noticed that I'm looking away. Or if they get quiet, get comfortable with the silence. And after a while, you can say, okay, I must have hit a nerve because you've gotten very quiet. And now they'll open up.
I love this. And it's hard to discern, right, when they are quiet because something is working in them and when they are quiet for other reasons that we have to still find out.
Correct. Correct. So let's come back to that theme of questions. What I find in discovery meetings is salespeople ask questions that the prospect perceives could be better or different than they have today. So, for example, the magic wand question. Simon, if you could wave a magic wand, what are three things you'd like to have that you don't have today? And
I
again,
hate
our
this
audience is probably saying
question.
that's a darn good question. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that question. But if you're only asking questions about what they perceive would be better or different, you're missing the big opportunity to win the deal because you have differentiators. There are things you offer that they don't know could be better or different than what they have today. So you have to also be asking what I call positioning questions, which are open-ended questions that map back to your differentiators designed to spark conversation about them. Can I give you an example?
Please.
Okay, so I live in Minnesota. Minnesota has a lot of funkiness to it. And one of the interesting things about Minnesota is the weather we have. Right? We got pretty crazy weather here. Related to that, this is the only state that I've seen where every homeowner and every business contracts for their own trash removal. So on Wednesday mornings, there's a parade of garbage trucks coming down my street representing every hauler you could name. But have you seen that anyplace else, Simon?
I
Usually the
don't think
city
so.
contracts one company. Literally, and it's all coordinated. It's a parade coming down the street. And each one of them seemingly doing the same thing. The truck pulls up to the home, an arm comes out, grabs the can, puts the garbage in the truck, arm puts the can back down, the truck drives away, you get an invoice at the end of the month. Well, one of these companies reached out to me and said, I believe we offer meaningful differentiators and we should be able to get a higher price point. And I was intrigued because I see this parade every Wednesday morning. It all looked the same to me. That CEO was exactly right. And one of their differentiators is a truck that they have twice a year that follows the garbage truck and cleans your garbage cans. They're the only ones in the state of Minnesota that offer that. And they
Mm.
don't charge additional for it. It's included in their services. So if I asked a homeowner, what are three things that you'd like to have that you don't have today? No one's going to say, gosh, I wish someone cleaned my garbage cans because they don't know it exists.
Hmm.
So we developed a positioning question around that for their salespeople. When's the last time you had your garbage cans cleaned? Because we know they never have unless they did it themselves. And if you've ever
Mm,
had the privilege of cleaning your garbage cans, you know what a miserable experience that is.
that's a powerful
So
question
that's what
right
I
there.
mean about the two sides of the questions there.
I love this. I love this. And I hope that everyone listening now can think of how to apply this to their business. Like, what is the one thing your potential buyers are not thinking about right now? You know that they want it and they need it. There may be not even they don't have it on their desk right now, that it's a possibility, that it's in front of them, but you have it. How can you make this your powerful question in the discovery call?
Yes. So let's talk about the other piece in that consultation. Sharing information. Salespeople have been told, as a business owners, when you're in selling mode, you share information by communicating features and benefits.
Oh my god.
And
Yeah.
there's a chapter in the book titled Features, Benefits, and Boredom. If you think features and benefits is the way to go, bring a pillow because you're going to put them to sleep. What we need to be doing during these first meetings is sharing stories. Again, we're looking for this retention. And if you look at the memory studies that have been done, people are much less likely to remember facts and figures when they're shared independently than they are when they're enveloped in stories. So to take those client success stories that you've had, and you say, Simon, what you shared with me reminds me of another client that I was talking with. They joined us about 2 years ago, had similar challenges to what you had today. And then take them through what that journey is and finish with the results that they've experienced. Much more memorable, much more emotive, and much more likely to help advance the deal.
This is gold, guys. You have to buy this book. It's called First Meeting Differentiator by Lee B. Salz. And it's a really, really good book. I barely read sales books anymore. I write some, but I don't read many anymore because I find that they become repetitive if they're good, or just a waste of time if otherwise. This one is really good. I was nodding most of the times, and in many things, I made notes to try it out, to tell this to my clients because it's really, really good. And you just felt him. He's a practitioner with ton of experience, and he can go really, really granular on your stuff.
So, I mean,
How?
what's really interesting? There are literally thousands of books on prospecting.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get a meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Now find a book that says, okay, you got the meeting. Here's how you put together an effective game plan for that first meeting. Believe it or not, didn't exist until I wrote this. Now, there's tons of books that touch upon it, questioning techniques or storytelling, but a comprehensive book that says this is the construct of that first meeting, not how to get the meeting, not what to do afterwards, the meeting. That's what this book is dedicated to. And I can't tell you how many friends that I have in this space, sales authors, that said, I can't believe I didn't think to write that book.
Yes, yes, it's a really, really good book. And by the way, yes, there is a ton of prospecting books, but is there one that actually helped you in any shape or form in the practicals, uh, in the practical way?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, one of my favorites is by my buddy Larry Levine, Selling from the Heart, and
Mm.
bringing that emotional aspect and genuinely caring about people. Absolutely fantastic read.
I love that book, and I have to reread it now because I can't remember prospecting tactics in there. But it's a great book. I will
Yes,
reread it with this lens.
yes. And as far as prospecting book goes, Jeb Blunt's book, Fanatical Prospecting, is absolutely fantastic. He's got a new one out with Bryn Tillman on using LinkedIn as a prospecting tool.
Thank you. And now that you have prospected and you have the meeting, you prepare with this one. It can help you sharpen your questions. It will definitely make sure that you don't present in that discovery meeting, but you do actual discovery. And you will find here literally the questions, a checklists, and really good practical examples on how to prepare and have a better have a better meeting. Where else can people do? They can go to the book, the first meeting differentiator. Where else should they go?
Or if they go to firstmeetingbook.com, you can download the first chapter for free. And then wherever you buy it, it's available on Amazon and all your favorite bookstores. Wherever you buy it, go back to that website, firstmeetingbook.com. There's a bonus that's being exclusively offered to book purchasers. I'm going to be delivering 3 private masterclasses just for that group based on the content of the book to help you implement those strategies.
We'll be there. Lee B. Salz, everyone. Thank you so much for being on the show. What's your next book?
It's in the works. I can't reveal it yet.
I had a feeling, and I'm looking forward to
I got
that.
something up my sleeve.
And please, when you launch that book, please come back.
I will. Simon, thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Lee. See you soon.
Thank you.
Avoid trying to do thousands of things that doesn't work. We have 274 templates for your business success. Reach your ambitious goals with one-on-one sprint coach. We double your revenue in 90 days.
What if your business would run well even when you are on vacation? Discover how 1,600 business owners have regained their freedom using the Strategy Sprints blueprints. How they enjoy living their dream and watching their business scale. Get the exact checklists they use to go from stressed to fulfilled using the Strategy Sprints method. Order your copy of Strategy Sprints 12 Ways to Accelerate Growth for an Agile Business on Amazon today. And if you love it, leave us a review. For more information, head over to strategysprints.com.